It was a quiet Sunday morning when the phone rang, shattering the stillness. I picked it up, half expecting it to be my sister calling to chat about her weekend plans. But the voice on the other end was trembling, choked with tears. It was my brother-in-law, Mark. "Sarah, it's Ethan," he managed to say, his voice breaking. "There's been an accident." My heart dropped. Ethan, my 12-year-old nephew, was the light of our family. He was the kind of kid who could make anyone smile, even on their worst days. He loved soccer, video games, and had a knack for telling the most ridiculous jokes that would leave us all in stitches. He was the kind of kid who made you believe in the goodness of the world. "What happened?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Mark explained that Ethan had been riding his bike near their home when a driver, distracted by their phone, had swerved onto the sidewalk. Ethan didn't stand a chance. He was rushed to the hospital, but the injuries were too severe. My nephew, my sweet, funny, brilliant nephew, was gone. The days that followed were a blur of grief and disbelief. My sister, Emily, was inconsolable. She and Ethan had been inseparable. He was her only child, her miracle baby after years of struggling to conceive. She had poured every ounce of love she had into him, and now, in an instant, he was gone. The funeral was held on a gray, rainy day, as if the heavens themselves were mourning. The church was packed with friends, family, and classmates, all of whom had been touched by Ethan's kindness and infectious laughter. As I stood at the podium to deliver my eulogy, I looked out at the sea of tear-streaked faces and felt the weight of the loss crushing me. "Ethan was more than just a nephew to me," I began, my voice shaking. "He was a reminder of all the good in the world. He was the kind of kid who made you want to be better, to do better, and now that he's gone, it feels like a part of the world's light has gone out with him." After the service, we gathered at Emily and Mark's house. The house that had once been filled with the sounds of Ethan's laughter and the pitter-patter of his feet running down the hallway was now eerily silent. His soccer cleats still sat by the door, his half-finished homework was still on the kitchen table, and his favorite video game controller was still on the couch. It was as if time had stopped, frozen in the moment before the accident. In the weeks that followed, Emily struggled to find a way to move forward. She quit her job, unable to focus on anything but the gaping hole in her life. Mark tried to be strong for her, but it was clear that he was barely holding himself together. The grief was all-consuming, a heavy fog that seemed to suffocate everyone it touched. But even in the darkest moments, there were glimmers of hope. Friends and family rallied around Emily and Mark, offering support in any way they could. A local soccer league dedicated their season to Ethan, and his teammates wore black armbands with his initials on them. A scholarship fund was set up in his name, ensuring that his legacy would live on in the lives of other children. And then, one day, Emily found a letter. It was tucked away in Ethan's desk, written in his messy, childish handwriting. The letter was addressed to her and Mark, and in it, Ethan had written about how much he loved them, how grateful he was for everything they had done for him, and how he hoped to make them proud one day. As Emily read the letter aloud, her voice trembling with emotion, it was as if Ethan was speaking to her from beyond the grave, offering her a small measure of comfort. It wasn't enough to fill the void he had left behind, but it was a reminder that his love would always be with her, no matter what. In the months that followed, Emily and Mark began to find a way to live with their grief. They started a foundation in Ethan's name, dedicated to promoting bike safety and raising awareness about the dangers of distracted driving. They spoke at schools and community events, sharing Ethan's story in the hopes of preventing other families from experiencing the same heartbreak. And though the pain of losing Ethan would never fully go away, they found solace in the knowledge that his spirit lived on in the lives he had touched. He may have been taken from them far too soon, but his legacy would endure, a beacon of light in the darkness. As for me, I carry Ethan's memory with me every day. I think of him whenever I hear a child's laughter, whenever I see a bike on the side of the road, whenever I tell one of his ridiculous jokes. He may be gone, but he will never be forgotten. And in that, There is a small measure of peace by Michael